What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I am an astrologer and musician, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. As always, I thank you so very much for being here. Thank you for sending it to a friend. Thank you for sending me a tip via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. Thank you for going to Patreon, where you can find an electional report and time your life. If you have a first date that you want to go on and you want it to go swimmingly, then I've got a timing guide for you there. I've got times for you to avoid as well, so you avoid stepping on a landmine, this kind of thing. If you want to check out the music on Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, Can't Help Myself is out now. This Wednesday, I got a next tune coming out. It's called Breathe. As you can see, my homegirl Erica, who is known as Odd Minds on Instagram, also made the cover art to this. It's super, super dope. Thank you for being here and being a part of this community. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So this week, we have a couple of things going on here. The first one is the new moon in Pisces. So new moon in Pisces, this is fun because so the sun is finishing up its time in Aquarius here. And so, I've been talking about how sun has been with Saturn and everybody is sort of under the rulership of Saturn. This is actually our last week of all Saturn everything. This is it. This is our last week of all Saturn everything. Saturn will stay in Aquarius for a little while longer, for another couple of weeks after this. Again, not very long, but this is our last week with Mercury in Aquarius. And so that's really our crux. Once Mercury moves out of Aquarius, then it's going to stop being everything is ruled by Saturn, because once we've got Mercury in Pisces, and that's going to be ruled by Jupiter, and we're gonna start sort of like referring to other things rather than just Saturn all the time, right? And so we're going to start to see a little bit of that going on here. So with the new moon in Pisces, the sun is going to move into Pisces. Happy birthday, Pisces, by the way. Happy birthday. Thank you so much for being here. I love all my Pisces people. I'm a Scorpio, so Scorpio and Pisces, we get along. But so we've got the sun moving into Pisces. And as the sun moves into Pisces, then the moon is going to come in and conjoin the sun right there. We're going to get that new moon right at the very first degree of Pisces. At that moment, Venus is at the very, very end of Pisces. And so we do get a little of that juice, some of that like delicious goodness that Venus in Pisces likes to bring. Scrumptious is a word that I've been dying to use in reference to that. But that's only like for 1 second before Venus then moves into Aries. This is a very good week for Aries stuff. And we're moving into a little period here where the Aries stuff looks really good. We've got Mars moving forward again. So Mars is still in the shadow. Mars is still in its retrograde shadow. We don't get to do like new things yet necessarily, but we do get to maybe move forward on things that haven't been working, because Mars went forward in Gemini for a while and it was like, ooh, here we go, we're going to do the thing. And then we had to move back for a while and it was like, nope, none of that shit is working. You're going to have to deal with obstacles, and you thought that was going to work, and nope, that shit's not working, and maybe try it this way, and that also is not working, and there's sun in your face and shit like this. Like a bunch of that sort of stuff has been going on with Mars retrograde in Gemini. Now Mars is moving forward again. We can remember that Mars rules Aries, right? Mars is moving forward now, maybe able to actually put into practice some of the things that we had to think about. We had to reevaluate, we had to replan some stuff. All that sort of stuff is sort of in motion, especially as we see Venus moving into Aries. And so that puts both of our benefics. We've got Jupiter in Aries, we've also got Venus in Aries. By the way, in the evening time, you should definitely go check this out. Go look on the western horizon a little bit after the sun has gone down. There are these two super bright stars. They're the first ones that come out. They're getting closer and closer together. It's really, really a nice sight to behold. So go check that out for sure. But so the Aries stuff is turning up in a real big way this week. I mentioned in the quarterly forecast with Palace and Cameron, we got a next one of those coming up pretty soon, because we're getting we've got one more month before we get into Aries season, and then it's going to be time to talk about a whole new quarter here. But in that last quarter forecast, we talked about the 22nd as a day that's really good. That's when the moon moves into Aries. That's going to be the moon and Jupiter and Venus all there together in Aries. Now, if you're like me and Aries is your 10th house of career and public performance and reputation and all that sort of stuff, then maybe that is a good time for a public release for you. That's when my new tune is going to be coming out. It's called Breathe. It's a breathing exercise. It is Super dope. I'm very excited about it. The artwork that goes with it is super amazing. There's a video to go with it. It's kind of a comprehensive exercise for generating the more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible, and starting with our own body, our own breath, our own spirit, in order to generate that world, right? I'm very excited about that. And so if you have Aries in a prominent place, like the 10th or like the 1st, or wherever that is for you, then this is going to be go time on that. As Venus moves into Aries, then we're going to be seeing that sort of stuff really trying to move and go ahead and handle stuff. I think that that's interesting, especially in regards to, so we've got this new moon in Pisces, right? Which is like, it's like not the main event a little bit, right? Because once we see this, like, so on Wednesday, that's when we've got this like super nice moon in Aries. Definitely go out at sunset and check out the western horizon that day, because that's going to be the crescent moon, like an opening waxing crescent moon alongside two benefics. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be super nice to look at. But that's kind of like the main event here, right? As Venus is moving into Aries, we've got all that stuff. The new moon in Pisces is interesting because it's ruled by Jupiter, and it's the very first of our lunations in 2023 that hasn't made an aspect to Jupiter. So it's ruled by Jupiter, but doesn't make an aspect to Jupiter. Jupiter, meanwhile, is concerned with the Mars stuff. We're trying to do the Mars stuff. And so I've been thinking about Mars retrograde in Gemini. So Mars has been like forward, backward, now forward again in Gemini, right? And Gemini is on the same, it makes hard aspects to all the mutable signs, because that's how that works. And so that's going to be Gemini. Mars retrograde in Gemini has been conjoining stuff in Gemini. It's been opposing stuff in Sagittarius, and it's been squaring stuff in Virgo and Pisces, right? As we move into this next phase that's coming after Saturn in Aquarius, Saturn is going to move into Pisces, then Saturn in Pisces is going to make hard aspects to all of those same things. It's going to make squares to stuff in Gemini and Sagittarius. It's going to oppose stuff in Virgo, right? It's going to conjoin stuff in Pisces. So whatever Mars has been dealing with, and sort of like, with that Mars, we've got discomfort, we've got rage, we've got irritation, we've got motivation to try something different because this shit hurts. I don't like being here in this spot and I want to move something else. So that has sort of like opened the way for us, and then, or maybe broken something down or something like this. And then as Saturn moves into Pisces, and it's like, okay, what are we really gonna do about this sort of stuff, Also, interestingly, new moon in Pisces happening at 0 Pisces. That's going to be the degree at which Saturn, so Saturn is going to move forward into Pisces. The first degree that he's going to hit is 0 degrees of Pisces, right? So we're going to see some resonance there with that new moon. Then Saturn's going to go forward for a while, is going to retrograde back to 0 degrees of Pisces. And so there's going to be a direct station at 0 degrees Pisces later in the year, but this looks like a point where some stuff wants to take place here. So Aries looks like it really wants to move this week. Pisces is kind of still getting set up a little bit. There's this longer period here. And so new moon, that's always going to start like this longer, we can talk about like the lunar cycle that's going to happen there. That's 28 days or something like this. We can talk about a year-long cycle until the next new moon in Pisces. That's going to be sort of bookended by a full moon in Pisces once we have the sun in Virgo a little later. So there's this year-long cycle that's going on there. And then also sort of getting, kickoff. I don't know if kickoff is the right word because we've been doing Mars retrograde and all this sort of stuff, but sort of like setting things into place as far as moving forward here. The first bit of this year has very much been sort of reevaluation and looking back into the past and looking at how Saturn has been going. And, Saturn is kind of traditional in the first place, but then now we're really getting set up and sort of getting ready to move into a future kind of dynamic. And so things are really starting to get interesting here. Thank you, as always. Thank you so much for being here. I have so much more to say about this kind of thing. The quarterly forecast is going to be coming out pretty soon. I got some next podcast things that are coming up pretty soon. Please pray for me and make sure that this breath exercise gets out on time. It's getting crazy out here. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all y'all. See you next.